Welcome to Bitfumes, and this is Master Vuex in just 60 minutes. At the end of this video, what you are going to create is a simple app by using Vuex, nothing else. And here we have some kind of students, which number of students are 8. These are, and obviously we have the Hulk, Thor, and all these Marvel's heroes, and number of games they play. Okay, so what we have to do, we have to create a team A and team B by choosing these things. So if I click and Hulk on the team A, yes, he is on team A, and let's choose Thor on B, Iron Man A, Vision on A, Black Panther on B, Loki on A, Spider-Man, Superman on B. Okay, we have Superman, the DC one in Marvel's era. Okay, so these things, we have two teams, and we can remove players or students from this team also and from this team. So why not get Loki on team B and Black Panther on team A? It's just a demonstration type of thing, nothing has to do with the real kind of choosing system, but we are going to create these things. And what actually we are going to achieve, we are going to achieve these things. So if I go to without Vuex type thing, and you can see student component has all these things, yeah, from line number 24 to 54, let's say. So it will be almost 30 line of code, but the same component with Vuex will become, let's see, 1 and done, 25 to 36. So 35, 10, 3 times reduction in the code, and all the codes we have stored in our index.js file. Here is the code. So this kind of manipulation and code reduction and component clarity you will get with Vuex. But let's first go and see what is Vuex. So Vuex is a state management pattern or library for Vue.js application. This means to proceed in this tutorial, you need to learn Vue.js first, or you need to have just a basic knowledge of Vue.js. If you don't have, just click on the card above or in the link description to have another 60-minute video just dedicated to Vue.js, and you will get the basics, and then you can come to Vuex. This is super awesome thing. Vuex is good. So what is state management pattern? So what is state? Think about state as a data or the variable you have on your component or on your Vue.js application. So each component, the data you have on the component, can be considered as a state for Vuex. So component has the data, but Vuex has the state. Simple thing. But what do you mean by state management? So think about this. We have 4 components. So 4 components has 4 different data. But it may be possible that 2 component has the same kind of data. So you have 2 same copies of the data. But instead, what if you have a centralized system? You have a one file where all your data is situated, and all that 4 component can access that data from that centralized file. And this is actually Vuex is capable of doing. So that's why it is state management. It just manages your state or simply your data for the components. So that's why it's a state management and provide centralized data store. That's okay. So we get what is state, but why we need Vuex? So we have said that state is just like data, and it provides centralized data store. So this means to communicate between the components, between parent component, between child components, and having the passing of the data via props we will do on Vue.js is a very cumbersome thing, and it sometimes breaks your code because you have a chain of passing of the data. Suppose you have a component A, you pass data to component B via prop, then component C via prop, and then component D via prop. So to pass the data from A to D component, you need to pass that data from B and C also. Why this is? You don't want your data to pass through B and C, but you don't have any choice if you are using only Vue.js prop system. But here with Vuex, you have a centralized store. So component A just change the data on the Vuex store or change the state of Vuex, and then obviously that component D get the changed data, and B and C doesn't have to do anything on this case. So in this way, to manage your data along the components, you need Vuex. But what problem it solves? So let's suppose we have this problem, and the problem is like we have a main.js file, the main file of Vue.js, and we are getting data on that component or on that file via any API by making Ajax call or by just importing another file. Okay, then we have a two components, students component and games component. So now we need to pass all the data for the students, that means all students information via prop on the students.view. Similarly, on the games.view we have to pass data. Then on the game.view, again we have to use prop to pass that data, single game. Similarly, single student information can be passed via prop. But what if we have to communication between students.view and game.view? Again, passing of prop, passing of data via prop. This is super complicated thing. You can see it's not understandable where the data is going. But here comes the Vuex with this solution. So let's go here, and you can see we have a centralized store for Vuex, obviously data coming from API. Then each and every component of your application can get and update the data on the Vuex store directly. So students.view component can change something about a student information, and that information can be accessed by student.view, game.view, games.view. It doesn't have to pass, and it's simply like students.view doesn't have to care about where the data is going. It's just going to update the data on Vuex, and then it's the job of your other component to get the data again from Vuex. So it's super easy solution, and that's why we are going to use Vuex. And even if after some time you have a new component, suppose you have a new component, and that's easy because now again you don't have to pass the data from a students.view or from any other component to this new component via prop, because this new component can directly communicate between the Vuex store, the centralized store, and that's the power of Vuex. But when we need Vuex, when it's the time to use Vuex, because we can create the application with passing the props. So it's just simple thing. When you have a large application, because when you have a large application, you have a lots and lots of components, and they will communicate with each other, passing of data via various layers, and then it's a time to use Vuex. And obviously when you have a lots of components communicating with each other, it may be the possibility that in a small application you have only 4 or 5 components, but these 4 or 5 components highly communicate with each other. So this means this is the time to have Vuex on your project. So after all these things, let's start and go on the coding part. So I will open my folder, and here I will create a new Vue.js application. So Vue init, and the template we want is webpack, and then comes the project name. So it will be like Vuex tutorial, simple thing. So hit enter, and it will download Vue.js application on our computer. Yeah, so let's give the name of the project. Yeah, this is good. Description is good. Author is good. Runtime compile, that's good. No, I don't want any router. Not ESLint. Oops, it goes yes, no problem. And I don't want any standard GitHub. Ah, okay. So unit test, no. E2E, no. Yes, npm. That's good, and it will install Vue.js app. And now our Vue.js application is installed. So I will close the terminal because I'm going to have this Vuex, whatever. This has to be Vuex tutorial inside this one. And let's open this with our VS Code. So now we have here, and in this project, let's open terminal. And in the terminal, I will say npm run dev. It will open application in localhost colon 8080, and let's go to this one, which is like this. So this is a simple app, and here on the source folder we have components, and here is the hello world components. So I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to just rename this to students component. Okay, and I will delete each and everything from here, and I will create a new scaffolding. And if you have not familiar with this kind of autocomplete, this is because of the extension for the Vue.js I have installed, which is Vuter. I think here somewhere I have, yeah, this one, Vuter. Okay, so you need to install this one. That's okay, easy. Okay, after this I will just create a div, and inside div I will say students, simple, just to check. And on our app.view, now let's change all these hello world with our student components. So save this and let's open terminal. No error. This means if I go to Chrome, yes, we have this component here. But how we will go and start? So what I'm going to do, firstly I will create a new folder which is like my API, and it's just a simple file. And here I will create a new file, or you can right click here, or you can press Command Shift and P or Control Shift P and just type new file. And here you can create a new file. So new file name is index, or simply I can say data.js. And this file is just going to have a simple students array. So students array is like this, and having the name of a student, which is firstly Iron Man, and he is going to have some ID. So maybe I can move ID above, and ID is just 1. Then, and because it's an object, so why not use colon. Then we have number of games he play, so we can say simple games, and games will be an array of like tennis, then comes football and all these things. But you know, typing all these things takes time, so I have already created these things, so I just copy that and paste it here. So let's delete this and paste it here. So let me just show you the Hulk name, game, football, cricket, tennis. Selected is false. So selected is just like when we select the team member or the user, student, whatever you call, and then it's disabled because selected is now true, but initially selected is false. So this kind of functionality we need by this selected field. So then we have a Thor, Iron Man, Vision, Black Panther, Loki, Spider-Man, and Superman. What Superman is doing in this Marvel heroes? Because I like this. Okay, so then we need to export default of some of the things, which is like firstly get students, simple method I'm going to create with just going to return students we have on this data.js file. So this is like an API. So now what we are going to do, we are going to firstly create all these things just without Vuex, and then after we will change all these things to Vuex system. So on this students component, I will create some data which is going to return students, and which is a simple array. Then we need to have a created fields where whenever this component created, I'm going to get the data. So it's like this dot students is equal to data dot get student, which we have defined on our API. So why not import that? So import, so we have to import data from like API folder, and then data, and my data name is again data. So let's say here data dot get student, and this will going to return the student. So go here, not here, go here, refresh this page and open this. We have some kind of error which says students is not defined. Okay, really? Data dot student, maybe here it says students. Okay, we have to say it's like constant of a student. Now it will work. Yeah, and I don't want Vue.js logo, so app.view, delete this logo. That's good. Save it. Yeah, and now on our Vue dev tool in our component, yes, we have this all array which includes everything we have on our data. So let's show these things. So it's very easy. ul, then li, and in the li we will use v for student, not dents, student in students. Okay, and we have to provide the key also. So it will be like student dot id, and inside this I will show student dot name. So how about these things? Yeah, looking nice, somewhat like this. Great. But after that I want how many games he play, because according to that one can select the players in his team. So let's say I want to have a number of games he can play. So on our I tag I will say like student dot games dot length. And how about these things? 3, yeah, 2 3 2 3 0, yeah, all these things. So game he plays. So after that I have to say game he plays. Yeah, then we need to select two things, team A, team B. So two buttons we need, and then button is like team A, and same thing for team B. How about these things? Great, looking nice. So these things are good, but let's now start with Vuex, because that's the main goal of this course. So let's open terminal. In the new tab I will say npm install Vuex, and I will save that, and it will install Vuex, which is just a small library but having a powerful library. So you can see our Vuex is installed, and how we can start with the Vuex. So first thing first, we need to create a new folder called store, and let's use with a small s. So we have the new store, and then we have to create a new file, and file name is index.js, or you can name it anything you want. And here first thing we have to import Vuex from Vuex. Simple. Again we have to import Vue from Vue. Simple. And then let's use Vue.use Vuex. So here now we can say export default of new Vuex, and here we will provide all the information related to Vuex. But what we are going to create? We are going to create a Vuex store. So instead of simple vuex, we have to say vuex dot store. Okay, and remember one thing, this has to be with a capital S, not a small s. Okay, so what is the structure of vuex? Vuex has four things. One is the state, then we have getters, is next is has actions, then we have new thing which is called mutations. These are the basic four things we always need when we are creating a vuex store. As I have already told you, state is like data. Getters is just like computed properties. Okay, what are the actions? Actions, you can think about actions as the methods we have on our Vue.js application or Vue.js component. Mutations are new things, so it's just used for, I will say, used for changing the state or changing the data. So you never change the data or the state of your vuex store via action. You never change. You can call mutation, or if I simply say the vuex terminology, you can call, no, you can commit mutation. So how we can change or take all these things from our component to our vuex store? So let's now go and cut this data and actually remove it from here and paste it here. Yeah, here we have transferred the state from our component to our vuex store. But one thing more is that we have a created hook. We are calling this function from the data or simply from the API we have, and we have to create the action first. So if I say here get students, and remember one thing, every function or every method of action accept first parameter as a context. And think about context as you can now get via context, like context dot state. You can access the state, this one, context dot getters, and whatever the getter you define you can access here. To have the mutation, as I have told you, we have to commit. So we will commit, and then we will give the mutation name. Mutation name is set students. So we will get the student by just setting the student. So set student we have to create. So let's say set students. So maybe change set students, and what this will do, this will exactly do this thing. So we have to import this data. So let's import that. So import from API data, and that should be data. And similar to action functions, the mutation functions or simply mutations accept first thing as a state. So this means now you have access of the state. So you can say state dot students is equal to data dot get students. We have moved the data we are getting from our API to the state, whatever state we have defined, and doing these things we have another function called action. So action just going to call something, it's never going to change. Yes, you can change, you can do these things here also, but it's not recommended. So now let's use this store in our student component. So instead of calling this data, because now we need a store, and that store is inside our store slash index, and I will call it store. Okay, and then in the created hook I don't need to call these things because that part I have done here. But how I can call this action? So now I will say store dot action. No, I don't have to call action. I will say store dot dispatch, and now I will give the name of the functions, and function name is get students. Okay, So let's go to Chrome, refresh this page, and on this view dev tool, on this view X part, you can see we have all these data we have from the API. And this means if I now go to components, and we should have some kind of error. Yeah, it says method students is not defined. Okay, so let's see. It says method students is not defined. This one is not defined. So how we can take these things, because this is just going to get the details or the student in this state, but we have not get that state. So I will create a computed property, and here I will say students, and this will just going to return store dot state dot students. So now just close this line, refresh this, and you can see everything is set up. But this time on our student component we have computed property having all these things from Vuex. So you can see we are getting everything from Vuex. This means if we want to change something on this students, we are not going to change on computed property, we are just going to change on this Vuex state that will reflect here itself. So next part is that now we need to have these kind of things, like if we click here we should have two template on, and on that template the particular team members will show up. So let's create a new component, and I will call that component team component dot view. Create a scaffolding, create a div, and inside one I will say h1 and simple team, and whatever will be the type of the team. Type means either it is A or B. So if we use that component here, so just after this ul I will create a hr, and here I will say let's say team component, and I will close that, copy that, import that team component. So it will be like, because it's the same folder, so team component, and close this, and that will be team component. Define that, which is team component, and now here I will pass a prop which is like it is a team A, so I will say team A. Similarly I will say this is team B. Hey, okay, and that should be is equal to, okay, so go to Chrome, close this dev tool. Yeah, we have this team and team, and now go to view dev tool, and on this team component we can see we don't have anything but here. But if I go here, and you can see we are having this prop, so let's accept a prop called type. So props is type. Okay, so now we can use that type here, which will just going to give us this kind of things, team A and team B. Wow, looking nice. So we just want simple thing that if we click here we have a new array of team A and team B, and then we will push that particular member from this list to that team A or team B, whatever the list. Okay, so now yes, we can create a new data here, but as we want to use Vuex we have to go to Vuex, and I will create a new state of team A. So team A is another array, then team B another array, and now we need to have some kind of click event on here. Yeah, here let's say on click event, that add click, I want to say add team member, simple thing, and same thing here, but this time at click add team member, and I will pass the type which is B here. Here also I will pass the type which is B here also. Okay, but along with these things, and actually that has not to be here, that has to be on this button. Why I have done here, so cut that from here. Okay, and that should be A. So when I click on this button, I want to pass, yeah, the type of the team I want to pass, and obviously the index we have to. So let's pass the index here also and here also. So we are passing the index of this student state we have, so that we can recognize it. So this means we have to create add team member. So let's create a method. Okay, but we are not going to create a method here because we are using Vuex. So now we need to create a new thing which is like action. So it's not a new thing, we have already done that. So let's say add team member. Okay, as we know, it's just get context as the first number, but as the second parameter it will get the data. So whatever the data you will pass here, so I will say console.log of data. So how we can call that, because here there is no method, so why not create a methods, and we are just going to call that add team member, and this is giving error because we need to create that team member, and this method is just going to call this. So same thing exactly, but now let's see what will be going to happen. So if I say team A, so we are getting undefined because we have not passed the data here. So let's get the ID and index here, and then now call with a comma. I will give an ID comma index. So if I go refresh this page, team A, yeah, ID is here, this index is this. So this is simple thing and we have passed here, but as we know, we don't have to change the state via action. We have to use context dot commit, and this will be like push member to team. So let's create this mutation also. So let's create this mutation, and as always it will get the state, but along with this state we will now use the data. So data will be here, so let's pass the data here. We just have to say state dot team A dot push, and every time it push we will say we have to get state dot student and then come, so data dot index, and then we will pass all these things. So whatever will be the index we get from here, we just pass that index here and calling that that particular member of the students array, and then pushing to team A. So let's go open view dev2 vuex. We have 0 on team A and team B. Click on Superman. Here you can see, here we have, click on Spider-Man for team B. Okay, it's again adding to team A. This is because we have not checked anything. So like we have to say if data dot type, and it's a type not ID, I think. Yeah, maybe you have already prompted that, so that should be type. Okay, so here we have data dot type is equal to A, then do this, otherwise else. We will say like these things, but it has to be team B. Simple and very easy. So again 0 0 team A team B, Hulk on team A, good, Thor on team B, again good, and as many as we want to have. So this is a way we can add things to here. Next part is we are having this, but let's show these things on team A and team B component. So the component is same, and if we want, yes, we can pass the data from here as a prop, but because we are using Vuex, we have to get the data here. So computed property we will create, and we will say team is a computer property. This will get the data from store. So obviously we have to import this store. So import, let's say import like this, store index, and that will call store. And here is store dot that should be state dot team A. Good. And let's return this. Good. So now if I refresh on the component, add to team A, on this team component we have one object, but we have the same thing on second team B component also. Team B component also having the data for the team A. So why not check which team we have? So we have to say return if the type is equal to A, then going to return store.state.team A, otherwise return for team B. Refresh and add to team A. Team A, okay, we have some kind of problem on the computation. So the problem is this type. Actually we have to say this dot type. Refresh once more. Yeah, it's having empty array. Spider-Man on team A. Okay, the team A having one object. Team B is empty, but Spider-Man, that was Superman, Spider-Man on team B, and yes, we have Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2 times because I have clicked 2 times, and that's we have to prevent whenever user click, and then we have to disable this. So in that way, let's just show these things here. We can use ul li v4 of member in team member dot name, simple thing. Refresh this. A, B, Black Panther on B. Yeah, great. Next part, the final part, not the final, but next part is disabling these things. So yes, we have this index.js, we are pushing these things, but when we are adding member, we have to make the selected field of the student data as true. So let's say again, as we know, we can't update state from action. So context.commit, commit is change selected state. So this is the one, and again we have to pass the data dot index, just index is needed. And let's create another mutation, and this will just accept index, and we will say state, and obviously this first parameter has to be state. So now here I will say state dot students, and we have to grab that via index dot selected is equal to true, and this will make these things disable, because on our students component we have to now say disabled is going to happen when the student, and again this is not the component we have to make on this button. So disabled is student dot selected is true, okay, and which is we are making true via mutation here. Okay, refresh, go to team A, and you can see these two fields are disabled. This means now no one can add Hulk in his team after he is selected for A1. Then these things, and simple, super nice, good. So this is way we have played all these things. But again, what if I want to remove? And simple thing, I will give a button having simple X icon here. Let's grab team A. Yeah, we have. So on this click event, we have to remove from here and enable this Spider-Man button. That means selected will be false. So easy. On this click event, I will say remove from team, and as usual it will get the type. So now let's create this function remove from team in our index.js, that means on our Vuex store, and we know that that should be an action. So remove from team, this first get context and then get whatever the data we will pass, and we are passing type. Okay, so instead of type I think we need one more thing. So let's accept data here, but to remove the particular item from the team we need its index. So let's pass index also, and as we are passing the index we need to grab the index here. Okay, and let's give key, otherwise it's giving error. member.id. Done. So we are passing index and type, and now let's do one thing here. Firstly, and again context dot commit, and commit is remove or splice from team. Okay, and let's pass the data. So splice mutation, splice from team, get the state and then index, and not index the whole data. Now what we need, first thing we need to remove the selected part from our students system, and then we need to firstly splice. So one thing is that we have moved this like change selected state. So instead of change selected state I will say enable select its selected state, and here also I will say enable selected state, and then we can create another one which is called disable selected state, and that will make it as a false. So let's first splice, and to splice we have to say this, or not this, state dot team a dot splice, and splice will be like this data dot index and remove only one. So this will just remove from team A, but we have to check if data dot type is equal to A, that means if it is a team A then remove from team A, otherwise else remove from team B. Done. So this is good, but here is the problem. So let's go to remove from team, and we need one more commit for first thing. Let's say disable selected what's that, selected state. So we have disabled, so let's try add team have, but if I click on Black Panther we have remove from team is not defined. First thing, remove from team is not defined because on our team component, yes we have used this function here, yes we have created that action here, but we have to import or we have to use that here. So we need to say methods is like remove from team, and this method is just going to say store dot dispatch, and dispatch is remove from team. Okay, and now we have the data here. Let's pass the data here also. Refresh once more, team remove. This time we get the next error which is called selected is undefined, and this error is coming from this one, state dot students dot index. This is selected is undefined. So actually we are having data here, not the index. First thing, even after this, if I say data dot index, this index is for team array, not for student array. So we need to do one thing, we need to run a loop. So we will say student state dot student dot for each, and this will get student, and we will have firstly the comparison. So we will say the comparison is like student dot id is equal to data dot member dot id. If it is true, then student dot selected make it as a false, otherwise do nothing. Okay, so this is the case, but again we are not passing member id, so for that let's pass member also. So member, and this means now this will work. So let's try once more. Refresh team A, click here. Okay, we get again property id is undefined. Let's try to console data what we are getting. On the disable part we are passing the data console.log. So we are getting only a, we are not getting anything else. Okay, so we are only accepting type, so I have to say type, then index, then member, and all these things we have to pass like this. Now surely it will work. Team A, and you can see we are having these things, and even that is deleted from here. So let's remove that log, console log, and finally if I see here team A is this and it is disabled, click enabled. Again all these things are working. We have achieved what we want to create, but you can see here we are using store, here also we are using store, but this process is not ideal because in every component you have to use store. So I will delete that store. So how we can use that store here, let me show you. So let's cut it from one of this and open our main.js file, import store here and make it as a global object like this, or even like this. Okay, so this is good, but it says module not found because now its path is changed. So this will be store slash index. Good. So let's try. Okay, we have to make changes in this. So now we can access the store like this dot dollar store. So is there anything? Yeah, so anywhere we have a store, that should be like this dot dollar store, and similarly here store this dot dollar store, and yes, everything is working absolutely fine. These things are these little tweaks are useful when you have large scale application. As your project proceed, you can change according to these things. But another thing is here, if you know about ES6 spread operator, then I will show you one thing more. Let me show you one thing. So suppose I have a function constant of a which is going to be 1 2 3 let's say 4, and then if I say console.log a, what will be the result? Let's see, refresh, and you can see 1 2 3 is there. It is called spread operator. It spread the array you have. So now Vuex provide you spread operator things. So instead of using this, because you know we have created add team member here, add team member here, then we are using add team member, and on this store we are having add team member. Why all these things? So let's import we will import here from our Vuex, and we want to import map state. So here we are using state dot student. on this student. So why not use spread operator, map state, and I will say students. So let's see the result. Everything is still working. Great. Yeah, this means we can use map of action. Let's use that. So map actions, and here the action is add team member, and just comment this and let's remove that. Yeah, refresh, and yeah, we have some problem. And this is because if I go, and you can see we are passing a as the type and index as the index, but here we cannot pass anything because every parameter it just get automatically, but it will automatically get only one field. So why not pass an object which is like type is a and index is index. So again, type is b, and we are using that data on the push member. Type is a, which is using we have. Let's refresh, and yes, you can see still everything is working. So in that way we get rid of this thing. So this is good, and let's go to team component, and here we are dispatching this one from here. So again, you import from Vuex, and that will be like map action first, and use that spread operator here, and my name of the action is remove from team. And as usual, the last time we have used the action, so we have to pass these things as an object like this. So I'm sure this will work, so I will delete these things whatever I have commented. So refresh, and yeah, working. You get the idea how you can use map system here. Okay, so this is good. The last thing I want to show you is that everything is still working, but as our project will proceed, this file, this index.js file, will become very large. So one thing we can do, we have student, so we can create a computed property on our getters, and that will be student count. So this will give you example of how getters can work. So it will, first thing it will get state, second it will get other getters, and third the data if you have. So it's just going to return state dot students dot length. So this will be like our what we can say student count. Yeah. Okay, so refresh, go to Vuex, and here student count is 8, so I will say student total student will be 8. So here let's use on the computed property, I will say map getters, and yeah, it's used at here. So we will have to use student count. Is that student count or students? Yeah, simple student count. So let's use that student count. So students total is this one, so inside double curly braces, refresh, total is 8. So you can see the getters is also going to work. Super. So we have done all these things, but here is another thing. As I was talking about the file size, if this file size increased, then you can remove, or you can make all these things in a separate file. You can create a state file. So let's create a file for state. So state.js, and let's export default, and we are going to export these things. Cut it out, paste it, and let's import. So import, and that will be state, so call it state, and here state is state, and still everything will going to work. Ha, good. So instead we can simply use state, that will also work. Similarly, we can use getter, we can use action, we can create a new file for action, action.js, not actions, whatever the file you can create. Oops, not this, default, and we have to make all these things from here, cut, paste, and let's import. Similarly, this one also, action, and some problem, actions is not defined. Okay, that should be action, not action, actions. Good. So this means we have s here. Okay, so this is working absolutely fine. So these are the things you can do with the Vuex, and in that way your file will become smaller. I think we have to create one for mutations also, but you get the idea how Vuex is going to work. But after doing this, there is a possibility that our actions.js file will become so large, our state file will become so large, and every section can become so large. You can see the mutation itself has this much long. So Vuex provide you another thing to reduce or make your code section wise. It's called module. So how this module and work and what exactly it do? So think about this. All the sections you have on your project can be separated. So like you have a contact page, so all the details related to contact page can be on a one module called contact module, and then you have some payment related components and its data and actions, everything. So create a payment module and deal all the things with payment module. Enough talking, but let's now create a new module. So yes, you can create a new file for creating a new module and import that, but I'm not going to do that because I want you to just see how this is going to work. So let's create a constant of info. This will be a module, and every module is just like a Vuex store. This means it has a state. Similarly, it has a getters, then it has actions and mutations also. Mutations. This is good, but it's looking like a Vuex store. Yes, but it has all the information, all the things related to only one thing called information. Information of what? We have this project, and in this we can give information like how many players in team A or in team B, and if team A and team B has four players, then show match date. So here we will create a new state which is called match date, and match date will be, let's say, 01012021, and then we have to show this on a component, but we will create component later. But how we will get this information for Vuex store? So along with these four things, state, getters, action and mutations, we have a fifth thing for Vue store which is called modules. Here we have to just define the module. So we have the info module which we will define like this, and this will surely work. So let's create a new component, info component dot view, and I'm going to get this, create a scaffolding. Oops, here create a scaffolding, create a div, create a h1, and here I will say match details. Let's now show the match date. So match date here we have to show, and let's use this component just after this team component. So this means we have to say like this, and let's import this like here and use this component. So this means in our Chrome yeah, we are getting match details. But if I open my Chrome DevTool, it says, yeah, match date is not defined. Because it's super easy, because we know Vuex, we just have to create a computed property. So computed property, and this will have to use map getters, and let's use that map getters, but it's imported here, which is incorrect. That should be here. Okay, so map getters will produce or will provide me match date, and it's not a getter, it's a state. So map states. So let's once more try. It is not showing here because this map state is just going to search the match date on our view store, not on the module. So we have to define that, okay, you have to search on the module. So instead of using this square brackets, I will use these curly braces, and here I will say like state is state dot info dot match date. Now this will surely work, and refresh, and you can see 112021. But this only going to show when we have some kind of information about the team. So this will only going to show if we have team A count greater than 0. If team count is greater than, not 0, 4, then I'm going to show this. So let's try this. We don't have team A count, so again a new computed property we need to create. So let's give a comma, and now this time we want this one, team A count, but this is not here, and I want that to be inside my info module. Okay, so info module, it's like a getter. So getter will give you team A count, but team A count will return the team A length. We know that getter get the state, but this state is just the local state, not this one. Where is that? Yeah, this one state, which is in a new file. Yeah, this one. So how you will get the root state? So first thing, it get the local state. Second one, it get the local getters, but the third one is root state. So now we can say root state dot team A dot length. So this will give team A count. So we are getting that here. Undo these things. This is not a state, this is a getter. So map getter, and getter is team A count, and let's do one thing, give a comma here. Now let's see, it's not going to show because team A doesn't have any member. So give 1 2 3, still not there, anything is not here on our match detail. If I give 4, yeah, it has, but if I give 5, yeah, you can see the match detail are here. So this is the way you can create or get the information about the module. And there is one more thing you can see, if you have lots of module and you have two same kind of computed getters, same kind of getter, then you can define a simple namespace kind of thing. So in this module, if I say name spaced true, and you will see whole thing breaks up. So it says unknown getter team A count. This breaks. Why and how we can fix on this getter part? Let's define that here. We will say that namespace is like this. So refresh, and 1 2 3 4 5, and yes, it is showing here. So you can provide the information about the namespace. So this will be useful when, suppose for any reason you have changed, you have moved these thing to another module, you just have to change the module name here and that will work. So this is all about Vuex and how Vuex work and what are the features it includes. If you want to support Bitfumes, just share these video with your friends and share these video with any person you want, so that everyone know how you can use Vuex and what exactly it is and why it is useful. So don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to hit the bell icon, because I generally post videos daily, and if you have not clicked on that bell icon, you will not get the notification about my videos. And then if you are not subscribed, go and subscribe, hit bell icon, like Bitfilms on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. We will meet in some other videos. Till then, keep learning, keep watching, and bye bye.